Good morning, YouTube world. I'm your host, Paul Italia. We got a special guest on today. He's got a big match coming up at the next East vs. West, going down in May. I call it the Battle of the Biceps. RVJ, welcome to my podcast. How you doing today, brother?
Good. I'm good. Chilling out, hanging.
So I see you got a big match coming up against Zurab, and the first thing I thought about was, holy shit, man, that is literally the Battle of the Biceps. You guys got mountains as biceps and all. But before we get into that match, I just want to break into a little controversy that I seen online in one of the groups and all, and I want to just kind of clear things up. Somebody was saying that you came on my podcast and you said that you were using steroids in the past. And, I did go re-listen to it, and, it did get a little confusing at the wording you used. And also, rather than speculate or whatever, I'm just going to straight up ask you, have you did steroids ever in your life before?
No. And, looking back on it, I can understand what was misconstrued there when I said I got on steroids once in my life. And, I explained it in that little thread, but what it is because of the Ryan Bowen match, people, I had a steroid stipulation with Ryan Bowen because at the time he was pissing me off, and I had my opinions on why he was so loud and proud and making all those gains. So I, pushed to have a tested event, more so to break his balls and to, just shut down some of that overconfidence. I know that steroids are prevalent in the sport, and I know that I've taken many matches. A lot of new guys don't know that I've taken a shit ton of matches for 20 years with guys that I didn't ask to be tested. So when I said I got on steroids once, meaning I explained it like getting on your kids about cleaning their room. Like, I'm going to get on this kid about cleaning his room today. It doesn't mean you're going to sit on them. It doesn't mean you're going to put them in an arm bar. It doesn't mean you're going to actually physically get on them. It means you're going to, get on their ass. And for me, it was like I got on that steroid tangent one time, legitimately. Like, I have my opinions about them where they are in the sport. I'm open about that. But getting on them meant I got on that tangent and made it as a stipulation for a match. I haven't made that as a stipulation for any of the other matches, because that was in a response to me caring if Leonidas was on PEDs and what he weighed. I said, no, I got on steroids once. And with Fast Talk, it was getting on the tangent. So no, miscommunication. When you're talking fast and ad-libbing on these types of things and just doing it off the cuff, it's easy to just rip things out there and eliminate words that people could kind of like fill their own narrative in.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that day I didn't take that at all. That's why when he said that, I clarified and said the thing that I took from the whole interview was that you were open to maybe in the future, if it was monetarily right for that situation, that you would be open to possibly trying TRT or something like that. And that's what I took from the whole interview. When I did go back and listen to it, I definitely did see where it could have got a little confusing in somebody else's eye. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then the other thing is, what would it take, what kind of match, how much money would have to be on the line for you to possibly think about going that TRT route?
All right. First of all, I think TRT wouldn't do shit. I think when you're comparing to what other people are doing in reality, if we're, being adults here and educated, TRT's like, you might as well just do creatine and protein compared to what these guys are doing. I think that there's a lot of people out there that say they're on TRT, but their levels are like 5 times higher than, a horny ass 17-year-old kid. So I think it's a real good loophole and scapegoat for people to have high levels, but we all know what the game is. For me to do it, it would have to be more than arm wrestling, to be honest with you. It wouldn't be for a win. I know there's perfectly healthy guys out there that are doing it for the win, for the glory, for the pats on the back. I wouldn't. It would have to be something that would affect my quality of life severely, and for health reasons, because money is spent. And if it was money driven, it would have to be real money, because even like 10, 20 grand, I mean, you go and fix up your vehicle and go on put that deck on your house and go on a vacation with your kids, that shit's gone. That doesn't even get you through a year. You make 20 grand a year, you're fucking poverty level. And what, you're running and gunning and ending up with, all this. You're always chasing too. My stance with the steroids is, even if you did it, you're always going to chase it, like bodybuilding. You know, if people start off with doing X amount, say, we'll just throw a number out there, like 1,000 milligrams of this, and this guy was ahead of you, and then you catch him, well, he's going to now switch it to 1,500 and then add something in there. And then you go, and then it's always the chase for who can do the most and tolerate the most. So for me, no, I figured out that aside from bitching about it, I think the true unicorn in the sport is, in my time, I can't think of somebody, or a very, 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 very long time, that got to the very, very top in the sport in any category that was a true lifetime natty. And that's my vantage point. So while I might not be able to get to be Levon and gain 200 pounds and be the open category champion, I think it's more notable. There are a lot of people who get to Levon's level if they're willing to do what he did. But to be a true natty and get to the top of the world and be universally recognized in any weight class, I don't think it's something I've ever seen or we've seen in a very, very, very long time. Like maybe when John Brzezinski was a true 200-pounder back in the 90s. But
Rob, I got to say one thing. This is my theory with it. I think a lot of the top guys, I think they're actually making a mistake by taking extra steroids. It's not like bodybuilding. We're not trying to build our bodies like that. And what actually you're doing when you're taking, more tests than, TRT, is you're increasing your blood flow, which we all know is probably the worst thing you could do on the table. It's like taking a pre-workout right before you go and you pull. You're going to pump out so much quicker. So I actually think that a lot of these guys that are taking that much, I think they're actually lowering their performance levels. And I'm speaking, I'm not on no crazy elite level of arm wrestling or anything but I came in from bodybuilding and, we did what we did to maintain our bodies then. And when I first got in, I felt like it was working against me. And, I'm actually on TRT and I've seen so much better results on the table. I feel much better. I could pull for 3-4 hours. And, so I actually am the opposite thinking of that. And I've been telling a lot of people that, and I feel like when these guys get these big super matches, I'm not going to name names, but I know a lot of the top level guys and I know what they were doing. And I actually think they kind of screwed themselves in a way, So that's just my whole theory out there. I could be completely wrong, but I've experimented for myself and that's what I've seen on my body.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's valid. But when you take athletes that are already understanding of the game, and you add 20-30% strength, they don't necessarily need a lot of endurance when you have that level of power. They trade off the other faculties for extreme power because then they can end matches quick, which is why for years and years and years, we did not see Levon have to be athletic. He did not have to have worries about blood flow and blood pressure in his heart or anything like that because he was so overwhelming that nobody really survived a second. And because of that, he didn't have to call on any of those other athletic parts that make you an athlete, like your conditioning and all that stuff. And a lot of guys are doing this. There's a reason why when I got in the sport, the best open category guys were like John, Ron, Alexi Bavoda was bigger, Travis was bigger, but these guys were, like 260, 270, 280. John and Ron were 220, 230. But now today's heavyweight in the top 10, they're all over 300, and Gennadi's over 300. Devin probably gets in one of his matches up in the 280s. Michael Todd, 300, Corey West, Arif, fucking Levon, how many guys you want that are over 300. Ermi's now up 300. So it's like, it's just a whole different game. It's like talking Ronnie Coleman and Frank Zane. It's just a different game. It's a different story. And you can make up for a lot of lack in technical prowess just by being stronger. We see it all the time. There are guys that aren't as strong and they're technically savvy. And then you get a guy who's a fucking gorilla and he's just super strong and he can just mule people. You can make up ground. The higher you gain in strength and power, you don't need as much technical savvy. And that's kind of the direction it's gone. And a lot of those steroids will give you, they might take away from another area, granted, but they will give you that top end power and mass.
So you're 100% right with that. And when you're saying that, what I'm thinking, just throwing it out there for these top athletes that are going the juice way, or, pancakes, whatever you want to call them, it might be something to, do that high amounts that they're doing until, maybe 2-3 weeks out, and then, drop down to TRT and, save yourself with the endurance and the pump factor, because you're not going to lose any strength in 2 to 3 weeks. And your levels ain't going to dip that much, but you will be able to have a lot longer endurance because you're not going to be so pumped out. And anybody that hasn't did steroids before, what I can tell you as an experiment for yourself to understand what I'm talking about is go take a pre-workout and go take Viagra or Cialis right before you go on the table, and then go see how you feel and see how you do on that table. And you will find out real quick what I'm talking about.